Are you looking for the best Garmin watches? In this video we will look at some of the 5 best Garmin watches on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Garmin Forerunner 265. The Forerunner 265 delivers pretty much everything you'd want in a running watch, without the price tag of Garmin's more premium brands. There's a wide range of features, a decent battery life, up to 13 days in smartwatch mode, accurate tracking and customizable workouts. When it comes to display, the 265 has had a serious revamp from its previous iteration with a sharp, colorful AMOLED touchscreen display that's easily bright enough to work for outdoor runs on sunny days. The display alone puts the Forerunner 265 on par with smartwatch competitors, rather than simply being a dedicated athletic watch. It's pretty hardcore when it comes to features, too. It's got the usual GPS, sleep tracking and fitness modes, but there's also training status, training readiness and performance condition, which makes this feel like a real athlete's watch. If you want to switch it up with cross-training, you can also choose from over 30 activity profiles, including triathlons, cycling, swimming and more. On-board music has been standardized too, unlike previous models. Offline music is now included. So what's missing? Well, it's lacking maps and smart assistant, but that's about it. And if you can live without these features, which most people can, it really is an excellent all-rounder. Number 2. Garmin Forerunner 165. If you've lusted after the bright, crisp display on the Garmin Forerunner 265 but the price tag is over your budget, the Garmin Forerunner 165 is here for you. The Garmin Forerunner 165 drops into Garmin's line-up in between the entry-level Forerunner 55 and the Forerunner 265, and it's now the cheapest Garmin Forerunner with a bright smartwatch-style AMOLED touchscreen. Behind the impressive, snappy, responsive display, the Forerunner 165 serves up a pretty comprehensive array of Garmin's regular run tracking tools, with plenty to cater for training and racing. In fact, it offers the majority of core features you'll find on the Forerunner 265, including suggested workouts, adaptive Garmin coach training plans tied to a target race and all the usual race time predictions, race pace tools and fitness benchmarking like VO2 max estimates. There are a handful of key omissions, though. There's no accuracy-boosting dual-band GPS, and triathlon sports mode is missing. You'll also have to forego some of Garmin's training insights, training status, training load and training readiness readouts are all left out. Even with those features taken out, when it comes to run tracking, the Forerunner 165 is more than a serious rival for pricier watches on performance and accuracy. In tests, the Forerunner 165 held its own in tests against the Forerunner 265, Forerunner 965 and the Enduro 2, all of which offer the accuracy-boosting dual-frequency GPS. The optical heart rate performance was relatively reliable, too. You will pay a price for that punchy screen. The battery comes in at 19 hours of GPS runtime. That's shorter than the Forerunner 55, 20 hours, Forerunner 265, 20 hours, and the Forerunner 255, 26 hours. We got between 5 to 8 days general training usage, with around 5 to 6 hours GPS runtime. Without music, a 125 half marathon burned 11%, while a 4-hour marathon burned 21%. The juice drains faster if you use the music on the Forerunner 165 music. But there's still enough to cover most single-session distances. Garmin still leads the way with additional smarts like contactless payments, Wi-Fi syncing, and offline music. All welcome extras at this cheaper end of the running watch spectrum. And if you want a happily reliable, largely fully featured run tracker in a compact, comfortable package, this is a good value option. Number 3. Garmin Instinct 2 Solar. If you want a running watch that can handle more extreme excursions, the Garmin Instinct Solar 2 is worth considering. It's waterproof to 100 m, thermal and shock resistant, and has a scratch-resistant display and polymer-toughened case. And the best bit? It's much more affordable than other Garmin models with similar specs. It boasts an impressive suite of run-specific tracking, training and recovery tools, including VO2 max estimates, training status, training load, post-run training effect readings, and recovery time recommendations. For health and wellness, there's body battery, sleep score, advanced sleep monitoring, menstrual cycle tracking, and stress tracking. It ticks all the boxes for safety too, including incident detection and live location sharing, making it well-suited to off-road ultras plus urban running. It's also the cheapest watch to feature Garmin's breakthrough solar charging skills, which garners energy from the sun. If you wear it in direct sunlight for 3 hours a day, or in 50,000 lux of light, it essentially never needs charging. Our office-dwelling tester couldn't quite hit that daily quota of sunlight, so it lasted for around 2 weeks. Still pretty impressive compared with an Apple Watch that doesn't always last a day. The lack of maps is surprising on a watch like this, but the navigation skills are still strong. You get turn-by-turn breadcrumb and back-to-start navigation, along with distance to destination and future elevation for routes you load onto the watch. That's particularly useful for trail runs and races. Number 4. Garmin Venue 3. Looking for something that bridges the gap between a running watch and a smartwatch? Enter the Venue 3. We're not saying the likes of the Phoenix and Instinct can't be worn all day, but the Venue looks a lot more at home whether you're exercising or not, and it's smart enough for most occasions. GPS is quick to triangulate, battery life is decent, just over an hour of running knocked off around 5% battery, and there are preloaded workouts available. Alternatively, you can create your own in the Garmin Connect app, much like with the Apple Watch. You can also configure alerts for heart rate, pace, time, distance, cadence, and calories. There are a few features missing that we've come to expect from some of the more running-focused Garmin watches. The Venue 3 doesn't have a training readiness score or training status score, and there aren't really any training-specific features on the Venue watches. You don't get daily suggested workouts which adapt after every run or ride, recovery recommendations based on your latest training or race predictions. But just because the Venue 3 lacks some running-specific measurements doesn't mean it's not a great watch for runners. In fact, if you're the type of runner who also likes going to a weekly yoga class, dipping your toe into reformer Pilates and conquering a strength workout, then you'll probably love how versatile, smart, and pretty the Venue 3 is. From the wellness side of things, it's got all the usual features you'd expect: heart rate tracking, sleep tracking, stress tracking, and more. In fact, sleep has had a real overhaul. Not only does the Venue 3 give you a sleep score, but it also offers personalized tips on how much sleep you need and how you can improve. Another major improvement from the Venue 2 is the body battery feature, which provides more information, so you can understand exactly how the body battery is affected by what you do during the day. Number 5. Garmin Epics Pro Gen 2. If you're used to a more mid-range Garmin on your wrist, the Garmin Epics Pro will definitely feels like a step up in comparison. This is a running watch for front-of-the-pack runners. Those who prefer more of a rugged build but don't want to compromise on a super sharp display. It's got a crystal-clear AMOLED touchscreen display and a whole host of advanced training features on top of Garmin's usual 24/7 health and wellness monitoring. There's also a built-in LED flashlight for training in the dark, 30 new preloaded sport activities, and new training features including Hill Score, which measures your capability for running uphill and assesses your progress based on your VO2 max estimate, and Endurance Score, which looks at your ability to sustain prolonged efforts. There's no beating around the bush here, this is an expensive watch. But the Epics Pro does feature a whole load of impressive features, including an optimized heart rate sensor and new weather map overlays. So if you're currently thinking about upgrading from an older Forerunner or, indeed, Venue, this really is an excellent smartwatch.